Hey guys, Paul here from FamilyWheels.ca with another car review for your growing family. And this week on the program, we're looking at the brand new, completely redesigned Mitsubishi Outlander, new for 2016. This is a company that you might not necessarily think of as your first choice when you're shopping around for a new car. And that's despite the fact that Mitsubishi's been making passenger cars for nearly 100 years. 1917, the first time that the Model A came out in its native Japan, and that was back when this company was just a shipbuilder. Since then, they've been making everything from generators to fantastic commercial vehicles, but it's never really taken off as a mainstream choice for passenger cars here in North America. Well, all of a sudden, here we have some pretty impressive sales growth numbers from the company over the last couple of years in America, and Mitsubishi really wants to continue to build on that here with the new Outlander. It wants to compete with the big boys and says that it's ready to do that. The RAV4s, the Honda CR-Vs, the Nissan Rogues of the world. It's a little bit bigger than those vehicles, so it's sort of in a funny no man's land. I think that it kind of competes with the Kia Sorento a little bit as well, because it is a 7-passenger vehicle and on the slightly larger size for a small SUV as well. But let's get inside, see how it stacks up. We'll throw a car seat in the back. I'm going to hop into that third row and see if it really can play in that big sandbox with the big name brands out there coming up. I always see the side views back. So with the SUV market being so saturated with some really great choices, what makes the Outlander stand out? Right off the hop, I want to talk about price with you, because if we compare this to that Kia Sorento that I had on the program a couple of months ago, the base price is about the same, $26,000, $27,000, but once you start adding the bells and whistles, I was in the top of the line Sorento for about $46,000, and here we are in the Outlander for $38,000, and that's including everything from leather seats, heated seats, sunroof, navigation, an excellent Rockford Fosgate sound system, some really good safety features as well, adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning system. You've got brake collision mitigation technology where the vehicle will brake for you if you're not reacting quite quickly enough. All those sorts of safety features, by the way, give this a top Safety Pick Plus rating from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. So a lot of good stuff there. Another thing that I like about this vehicle is the fact that it's made in Japan. While many of its other competitors are starting to be made south of the border in Mexico, Japanese build quality, I think, is still something that really stands out. I've been to Japan a few times, and I've seen everyone from that, guy cleaning up the trash at the train station to the heads of multinational corporations just taking such pride in their jobs, and I think that Japanese build quality still does make this a standout as an option for you. And because of that build quality, Mitsubishi really stands behind its product with a pretty untouchable warranty, 160,000 kilometer, 10-year powertrain warranty. That's tough to beat. But once you get inside of this vehicle, that's where I start to see things that I'm not liking quite so much. Some of the cheap plastics really make this feel like a cheaper vehicle. Here in the center console, the dash, the glove box, and the door panels, the leather doesn't feel like it's particularly high quality. The seats aren't quite as comfortable as some of its competitors. And it kind of has a generally haphazard feel to it here in the interior, like Mitsubishi just grabbed the parts bin and started grabbing parts from Mitsubishis of days gone by. I want to show you the switches here for the heated seats, for example. They look like a kind of thing from a mid-90s era Mitsubishi sedan, not a 2016 SUV. We look here at the steering column and the plastic that's wrapped around it. It's wobbly, it's loose, and it just doesn't feel particularly solid. One of the things that I do like that was put in this vehicle are these massive Lamborghini-style paddle shifters. It looks a little bit silly, but if you want to drive through the mountains, through some corners, and have some fun, or, shift down when you're driving in winter conditions, the fact that you've got such big paddle shifters to grab hold of and not miss those shifts is something that I really like about this car. So once you get onto the road in this car, It's okay. I mean, it's not going to win any fun factor awards. It's certainly not particularly exhilarating, and that's even here with the V6 that I'm in today. You can get this car, by the way, in a 4-cylinder as well in the lower end trims. I imagine that that would be even less exhilarating to drive. But one thing that I like about this car is that even in the V6, the fuel economy is actually pretty impressive. You're getting about 8.5 to 12 liters per 100 kilometers with this vehicle, and I'm even seeing about 10 liters per 100 kilometers with a mix of highway and city driving. That's pretty good for a vehicle of this size with a V6 engine on board. But its towing capacity is not that great. Expect about 3,500 pounds as the maximum towing capacity, even with the V6. That's not going to give you much in terms of what you can tow behind this for a camping trailer, a boat to take out to the lake, that sort of thing. If you want more towing capacity, you're going to have to get a larger vehicle for sure. Now, we talked already about the low end trims of this vehicle. You're going to get the 4-cylinder with that low end trim. It's going to cost you about $26,000, and it's also not going to give you all-wheel drive. You're going to have to pay extra for that, and it's also not going to give you 7-passenger seating. So all of a sudden the price does start to climb up on you for a vehicle that would be good for family living in Canadian winters with that all-wheel drive option. Here we have a bit of snow on the ground today, and the all-wheel drive is quite capable. I can select different modes of all-wheel drive as well, including snow mode and a lock mode too, where it will be permanently in 4-wheel drive if I'm in particularly bad conditions. So some nice things here in this vehicle that you're not going to see in some of its competition in terms of its all-wheel drive system. Another thing I'll note about this car is the fact that it has a pretty quiet ride. Mitsubishi has gone to pretty great lengths actually to try and improve its quietness for 2016. 31 different improvements, in fact, everything from engine seals to door seals and baffling and insulation throughout the engine bay and the cabin, and it is pretty quiet driving around here, even with a set of beefy winter tires on board. Mitsubishi and this vehicle's launch at the New York Auto Show earlier this year went so far as to say that it could be the quietest car on the road right now. I don't think that's quite the case when you compare this to its European counterparts. Certainly this isn't quite to the same level of quietness and refinement that you're going to find there, but not bad at all. A nice quiet ride even at highway speed with winter tires on. Okay, I want to walk you through some of our standardized tests now, show you what the Outlander looks like just in the various rows of this vehicle. First up, let's look at our trunk test here. You can see the automatic lift tailgate. That's something that comes on some of the higher level trims, not something that's a standard feature on the Outlander. You can see here that when we've got the third row down, there's quite a bit of trunk space here. We've got our standard amount of gear, a backpack, a diaper bag, couple bags of groceries, a ball, and a fold-up stroller. And we've still got room for one of our stress test items, which is the pooch. Come on, Comox. Come on, let's go. Up in the car. Up you go. And she can fit in there pretty well, actually. And when you compare this to other SUVs of this size, that's pretty impressive. I want to show you as well what the rear second row looks like, because I also am pretty impressed with the legroom back there. We've got a rear-facing child seat in place, and you can see that if I have my driver's seat set far back for a tall guy like myself at 6'2", there's still a lot of room back there for a second passenger, so I like that. Also, it means that when you've got that rear-facing child seat in place, they do take up a fair bit of room, that you can still sit comfortably up front here as the front passenger. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. We've got about 11 inches of legroom even with that rear-facing child seat in place, and that means that as a tall guy, I'm able to sit up here quite comfortably still, which is great news. And again, something that I was surprised to see here with a smaller sized SUV like the Outlander. Now, the leather seats are an option in this car, and they do have those pesky perforations that I've been pointing out to you for the last few months. These are hard to clean, so let's see how they do with our yogurt test. I'm going to daub some on here, smear it in, got the rag ready to go, and sure enough, all those pores fill with all that yogurt and make it really challenging to clean up properly. I've heard people talking about potato soup and kids puke and all the rest. really not coming out of seats like this for a long time. They can be a pain. So if you've got kids in the second row and they are still making a mess, make sure to throw something down. Let's have a look now at that third row. We'll see if a tall guy like myself can actually even fit back there. So you can see what I mean here about the second row. My headroom's fantastic. My legroom, even though the driver's seat is set for a tall driver, is really good as well. In fact, I think this gives the Honda CR-V, which has famously good second row legroom, a real run for its money in this class. Now, one thing that I will say, the third row doesn't get off quite so easily. You can adjust the second row to give you just a little bit more legroom in the third row, but that's not going to even do that much for us. We get back there by pulling this handle here. And again, this third row is an option, so you're going to have to pay extra getting to one of the higher level trims to get the third row. I'm going to slide this second row back, lock myself into place, show you what I'm talking about. Oh, it is tight back here. No headroom, leg room, non-existent, knees up by my ears. Yeah, for preteen kids, in a pinch, this could work. But if you need this third row all the time, or for older children, this is going to be a real squeeze for you. So what I would say is consider a larger vehicle if you're going to use this all the time. But, you know, for a bit of carpooling here and there, sure, in a squeeze, this could work, but certainly not for me. You know, it's funny, I was mentioning earlier that Mitsubishi really wanted to try and play with the big boys with this new Outlander, with the Fords and Hondas and Toyotas of the world. But I think that in its effort to become more mainstream, that it's really just become rather generic. You know, I think that if you were to cover up the name badge on this Outlander and you had someone look at it, it looks a little bit like the Ford Explorer, like the Nissan Pathfinder, like the Subaru Outback. It's just kind of a car, just another car in a sea of cars. And when you get behind the wheel of it, it's the same situation. It's just kind of a lackluster drive. I really liked the old Monteros and Pajeros from Mitsubishi because they made a statement and they were really specific to Mitsubishi, and you could see it coming from a mile away and know exactly what it was. You're not getting that here with this new Outlander. But if you're the kind of person who, you know, a sporty ride and a bold exterior look is not particularly important to you, sure, there's a lot of really good stuff going on with this new Outlander. It's a great value with some great features and a safe package with a really good warranty. Those are all really important to you, and the sporty ride, not quite so much. This could be just the ticket. But I want to know your thoughts. Are you a longtime Mitsubishi owner? Would you consider the new Outlander? You can get in touch with me on Twitter @FamilyWheels. You can also leave a comment below in the YouTube video. Please subscribe if you can. You can find us on the website too, familywheels.ca, and we'll be back with you again in about 7 days with the next review. Thanks for watching.